of counties in Minnesota where you saw this same thing with large rural populations, blue-collar white populations, where Obama, some of them he was winning, others he was holding his own. Just a dozen years ago, this is where Democrats have lost ground. In Walz in 2022, he didn't gain any ground that the Democrats had lost. He didn't do that here. He didn't do that in other counties. Walz really owes his victory, that margin. He got 8 points there statewide. He owes it to the Twin Cities area here, the area where Democrats in Minnesota and all these other states are already doing well. It's sort of the standard Democratic victory model in a state like this. It got Walz in 2022. This is the biggest county in the state. This is where Minneapolis is. Hennepin County. Walz wins this by 44 points. Look at all the votes that came out of their total. It's huge. And again, that's right in line with what Joe Biden did in 2020 when he won Minnesota. And again, just wind the clock back here. 12 years ago, this was still a blue county, but less blue. So it's the suburban areas, the metropolitan areas that have gotten much more blue, and Walz performed just like Biden did, and better than Clinton did, and in places like this. And then in the rest of greater Minnesota, small town Minnesota, where the Democrats have been losing ground, Walz performed basically just like Biden did as well. So, look at his electoral history. Tim Walz was in 2022, and the idea that he's got this automatic appeal with these small town areas in those three key battleground states, you don't see it in what he actually did on the ballot in 2022. Now, that doesn't mean it can't happen. See how this story, once it gets told, does it resonate with voters? Does it have, you have no idea of knowing when these things start. But what we can look at here is what he's actually done as a candidate in Minnesota. And honestly, when you look at Walz's victory in 2022 in Minnesota, it looks like Biden's victory in Minnesota in 2020, not a different coalition.
Interesting, Steve. I don't know if we have that information, offhand, but when he was a member of the House, he certainly, and I'm just speaking to Carlos Curbelo about his relationship that he had. They both served in the House at the same time. One very cordial, and he even, Carlos was even saying about how easy it was to think of bipartisanship with Walz. That district is of course just one small snapshot of the entire state.
Well, yeah, and it gets to, now remember, he was elected to Congress and he served there 2006 to 2018. And what we were just showing you about the huge turning point in modern times in a state like Minnesota in terms of the demographic balance in a state and all these other states, the turning point really is 2016 when Donald Trump comes along. And again, you see these counties, we just showed you, for example, there, where Obama and other Democrats could be competitive, could lose maybe by 10 points, even win in some cases. Trump comes along and these counties suddenly go Republican by 30, 35 points. And